hello and welcome back to the Career Transition Podcast. This is a very special episode. We got two guests today for my capstone course this semester, so we're pretty excited about that. I'm Joaquin.
I'm Gavin.
And today we got two, like I said, two very special guests. So you guys want to introduce yourselves, just your name, major?
Sure. I'm Zach Hunter, and I'm a StratCom major.
I'm Chris Sneed. I'm multimedia journalism, and strategic communication.
Sweet. Well, we can just get started with the questions.
So, how were the last few years for you guys here at Oklahoma State?
You want me to go first? You want to go first?
Yeah, because I'm going to talk forever.
That's true. Last few years were actually pretty good, I think. You get that final year struggle thing going on, which definitely happened, just trying to manage time and manage all the requirements and then your personal life. But overall, I think it was pretty good.
Yeah, your answer was a lot shorter than mine's going to be. What was the question?
How were the last few years for you?
The last few years. Well, I mean, OSU is a very unique university. And I like that it's like close to home for me because I'm from Dallas. But I don't know. I feel like my college years were the years where I had the most amount of character growth. I fulfilled my character arc by the time I finished here. But I don't know. There were a lot of really unique experiences getting to participate in things like marching band my freshman year, or getting to work for places like the Ocali or the Ranchers Club, but we don't talk about that. But like, I don't know, like, how do you sum up the answer to that question? I'm trying to think of like a way to
I
actually.
think that's why my answer was so quick. It's kind of like,
Yeah, but
how far could I go
like,
into?
like there's so much information that you could pack into it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good. I had a good time, but I'm about ready to leave. I feel like I've had my fun here, and I'm ready to transition to my actual career.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, what kind of things did you guys get involved in while you guys were here?
Like the whole time?
Yeah.
I got way too involved. I got involved with Ocali. I did production with them. I wrote for the paper. I did a little bit of photography. I worked with the theater a little bit on campus. And on campus, really, I just kind of randomly volunteered with things as opposed to signing up for a group. So I was kind of all over the place my first 2 years, and then I got burned out. And so I took off after those 2 years. I kind of was like, okay, I need to get refocused and get back centered on school, and kind of put all that by the wayside for a little bit. And then I got involved with like community stuff outside of campus. So on campus, like legitimate, officially, yeah, just Ocali was my main thing because I was wanting to get submerged in the major and learn as much as I could. And I think that comes with being a freshman. You get excited about being here and you want to do everything. And then you find out quickly you cannot. So.
What did I get involved in? Well, I mean, I touched on some of it before. I was in marching band my freshman year. I did concert band for 2 years. And then, but that was only in the springtime. I did the Ocali for, I guess, 3.5 years, excluding the one semester that I took off to go work in Florida for Disney. But aside from that, in this semester, I worked for the Ocali as a photographer for a long time. But aside from that, I mean, I didn't really participate in many clubs or other organizations. I just spent time kind of honing in on my skills and, focusing on my own hobbies and doing what I love. Because a lot of times there aren't clubs for that, or if there are clubs, I'm too lazy to look it up. So I will just do it on my own free time. But I mean, I guess that kind of sums up everything that I did in the past 4 years.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
I will say there were some more things that I wanted to get involved with, but I like wrote emails and I reached out to people, and some of the clubs would not get back with me. Was part of the thing, which is probably fine because, like I said, timing didn't kind of ran out of time. But
Their loss.
yeah, but it was hard to get some of them to respond so you could sign up.
Yeah, unfortunately, that happens.
So, how do you guys think those things you got involved with, how do you think that prepared you for where you are now?
Oh, I mean, definitely the experience. I mean, the things that I did for Ocali, even as it transitioned, because sometimes depending on who's running it, it can kind of have a different vibe. But getting to do those things, I got to practice those skills and now have a job where I use all those same skills from writing to photography to video work. And it made me feel a little bit more confident about doing the work because you kind of go into, when you apply for a job, you kind of have that imposter syndrome going on where you feel like you're not good enough for the job or you start doubting your skills. And I think being involved with those things kind of doesn't get rid of it completely, but it kind of diminishes it a bit. And so you can go into an interview a little bit more confident. You've got stuff you can say you've worked on and show people, and that feels really good. And then being able to look back over your own work and kind of and grade it and see how far you've grown is a big, I don't want to say ego booster, but confidence booster. So those are some of the main things that, for me, that help.
I mean, you definitely hit on some of the biggest points. But I mean, like personally, marching band, like I did it all 4 years of high school. And so naturally I was going to do it when I got to college. I ended up not liking it so much. Football games are not for me. I didn't really enjoy them so much. Weirdly enough, I felt the calmest when I was actually on the field. But I just didn't end up liking that experience as much. So I kind of dropped playing the trumpet for a while, even though I do still like to play it. It's just not really like on my radar right now. But working for the Ocali, like whenever I first got here, I remember they have like a major fair where you can go explore like what different schools they have here and different majors that you can explore. I remember talking to this guy in a bow tie, who was like, I don't know, really uppity. Like he had a lot of energy, and he like asked what I was interested in and all this stuff. And I had a photo account on Instagram where I really just posted iPhone photos of like sunsets and really generic stuff. And so like impulsively I was like, I don't know, I guess photography. And he told me to stop in, go to this building, go downstairs to the newsroom and ask for how to be a photographer, like just straight up waltz in there and just ask to be a photographer. And I did exactly that because, I didn't know what to do. And so I just was like, okay, if he told me to do this, I'll do it. I went there, did that. And the photo editor at the time, he gave me a Canon 7D, handed it to me, and told me to take a picture. I didn't know what I was doing. I'd never used like that nice of equipment ever in my life. But it was interesting how, I got to go from like something so small and standard, like taking pictures on a phone, to using like heavy grade professional equipment, going to events, getting special permission to do these events. And I mean, I got swept away with it and I've been doing it ever since, to the point where like I started to kind of back away from the Okali and it became an actual hobby or skill of mine outside of the job. And now it's one of my favorite things to do. I bought my own camera for the first time this past summer. I got a Sony A7R2, which is really nice. And I got to take it on some trips with me. And, it feels nice not having to check out the cameras from up here anymore. Because I used to check out the cameras and I used to know the guy behind the desk and I would ask him to use it over like summer or winter break. Feels nice to just have your own equipment. But if I hadn't gotten into the Okali and if I hadn't done that or went to that major fair or anything, I think my skill set right now would be very different and my interests would also be different. I don't know. I might have still been interested in photography, but I don't think I would have ever been at the level that I'm at like right now. And I think like transitioning into my future, like my specialty is mainly landscape and wildlife photography. I'm moving to a national park, so like I'll get plenty of chances to improve upon my skills there, and so I feel like the timing was immaculate, and I feel like if I didn't work for the Okali, I don't know. I'm just grateful that I had that opportunity to begin with.
Mm-hmm. So what would you say you've learned the most in college? And this could be like school related, life related,
You go first.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because I need to think on that one. That's a tough one.
Like school and life? Well, I mean,
Just like either, pretty much. Just like,
well, there's so many skills that you obviously get taught in school that, sometimes it just bounces right off of you and you don't really get anything out of it. But a lot of the times for me, like especially if it's something that I'm obviously like genuinely interested in, I absorb that information and it does help me in the future as that's what school is supposed to do. But like in life, I don't know. Like if you compare me to who I was at the beginning of my college career, oh my God, I'm a completely different person. I was excited to get here. I was excited to get out of high school and get out of Dallas because despite Dallas being a huge city, it felt small because my bubble was small. And then I got here, and I did absolutely anything and everything my freshman year. I made so many friends doing all this kind of stuff, and throughout my years here, I made a lot of mistakes. I learned a lot, whether like I lost friends or gained friends, and it was just interesting to like look back at everything that I've learned. Like I used to keep a journal, like checking in like once every few months. If I go back and read through it, it's so funny. Like looking back at like what I was dealing with at the time. And I don't know. I feel like the past 4 years have been ones that have the most amount of growth for me. So I've learned a lot of hard truths, learned a lot of lessons in terms of life, and I feel like everything that I've learned in my time here has better prepared me for going out into the adult world. No more school, no more getting my hand held. I'm ready to just be on my own. But I don't know. It's just, dude, it's your late teens and your early 20s. Like I feel like I've matured at such a rapid rate. It's kind of insane to think about, but I'm pretty grateful for everything that I learned while I was here, skill wise and life wise and everything else.
Um, I would say, I would say coming to college is where I adopted my philosophy of balance, because my mental health took a real sharp hit about halfway through college, and I had to reevaluate a lot of things. And when you're moving somewhere new, everybody experiences this, but when you're moving somewhere new and you're an introvert and you have all these things that kind of put you outside the majority, being a minority, being gay, being a non-traditional student, not being a local, you kind of put barriers up yourself because you're assuming how people are going to treat you. And the biggest thing was finding that balance of continuing to push myself and not like, because I hate when people turn that and turn it into ego, like where they get really full of themselves as a way to combat that feeling of insecurity. And so I never want to be that. And so it was trying to balance, like not trying to mind read everyone to know what they were thinking and just kind of be myself, do my best, treat everyone well, and then always check myself. Because trying to juggle that and then trying to do school and think ahead, you just get bogged down and you get stressed and you don't see the world for the way it really is. And you have to start learning how to take what I did anyway. I started just evaluating everything. Like take a moment every once in a while and go, okay, this is where I am mentally. This is how school's going. This is how my friendships are going. This is how I feel about myself. Um, and then start going, okay, well, what things can I do to fix the things I don't like? And not blaming everybody else, not blaming the world, just kind of sitting down and saying, okay, I can take responsibility for some of this. And honestly, every time I did that, I found myself feeling recharged and ready to go, making new friends like I did with Zach. Because honestly, he and we weren't friends outside of class at first, and then we're very different. We're very different.
Yeah, that's
people.
one way to put it.
We're different from everyone else. We're also different from each other. But honestly, probably if I had been here my first year, I probably wouldn't have been friends with him because I wouldn't have been as open to talking to people. So by the time I got to campaign class with you, I felt really comfortable just being myself. And I thought if anybody's uncomfortable with me, that's more of a them issue than a me issue. So I think schools really helped me with that and helped me develop a real confidence and a real balance, so that I'm always making sure I'm okay, and that my life is okay, and that people around me are okay, at least not, okay by my hand, that I didn't do anything to anyone. So,
But I mean, you brought up some pretty good points, like regarding some of the like lessons I think we both learned is just being able to control yourself, and that's all you can really have control over. And so it's kind of making peace with the world around you and just going with the flow and trusting that you'll figure things out.
yeah.
And I feel like you and I have learned that. Some of it I think we actually learned together, and I think it helps. But I feel like another one of the things that you brought up that I kind of wanted to talk about real quick was like when you said like when you got here, like how you could almost feel a little bit isolated.
Mm-hmm.
So like from my standpoint, whenever I first got here, I didn't feel as isolated because when you're a freshman, you get thrown into the dorms, everyone's together, you meet so many people, and freshman year is just kind of full of adrenaline and all this stuff. But by the time you get to sophomore year, no one warned me of this before I got to college. By the time you get to like sophomore year, your amount of friends that you have from freshman year just shrinks. And so you're down to hanging out with like the same like 3 or 4 people, which at first when you're not used to that, it feels kind of depressing. And I feel like a feeling that a lot of college kids have that a lot of them don't really get to talk about is the feeling of loneliness. Everyone has it. It really hit me hard sophomore year of college. But as you go forwards, I feel like, it's kind of like that character development. You learn what you can control and what you can't control and what to value over other things. And I learned that, and I'm glad that I learned that because it makes me appreciate all like my classmates that I get to meet. Because like when you're in your major, you start having the same classes with the same like 100 people. And I learned to appreciate that more, and I learned to get out of my shell and actually talk to people, because despite how loud and annoying I can be sometimes, I typically am relatively introverted, because like sometimes I'll get these sparks where like I feel extroverted, and that's how I met you, because I actually said something which I never do. But typically you just kind of stay in your own shell. But like that's one of the things that you can learn is just to actually talk to people. Don't just stay in your shell the entire time, just festering in your squalor and just chilling there and just making everything worse for yourself. But I do feel like that's something that, if whoever listens to this, if they're not in college yet, or if they are in college, that loneliness is a normal feeling that everyone has. But you can spin it on its head and begin to kind of get out of your shell more and be able to have the courage to hang out with people outside of class like this. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I have fun.
Yeah.
So, is there anything you guys would maybe do differently if you could go back from the beginning of your college career?
Dude, these questions. That's crazy. I gotta think about that. Do you want to go first?
Sure, since I put you on the spot on the last one. What would we do different if we could go back? Honestly, I think not to go back to that, but honestly, I think it would be that thing of trying a little harder when I got here to not prejudge people judging me, like assuming that people were, and kind of, if I could go back and talk to my younger self when I started, it's kind of like, they're behaving the way they're behaving because they're insecure also. Like they're scared of talking. They're scared of like reaching out because they're afraid of rejection also. So what's it going to hurt to say hi or just spark up a conversation, even in line if you don't plan on going anywhere? So I'd probably push myself in that way. And then the flip side, I would tell myself to pace everything, that I didn't have to do everything right at the beginning, to choose something and focus in on it, enjoy it, and then move on to something else, because you've got 4 years here at least. And I've run into quite a few people that are really eager when they get here and they want to be involved and they want to jump into every group and be part of the social setting, and that's great. but it'll catch up with you if you don't pace yourself really well. So I think those are the main, and managing my money. I'm going to throw that in there too. Money management is a big one, and I know a lot of people rely on their parents, but honestly, you're in that transition period. And my dad's still alive, and he's helped me a couple of times. But honestly, this is your period to transition away from your parents taking care of you. And if you're in a bind, like if you're in a legitimate bind, that's fine. But I would tell myself to be better about my money management, because my dad has his own finances too that he's got to take care of, and I need to remember that. I should have remembered that more in the beginning, and I could have done some things differently there. So those are, 2, 3 things? I think that's enough.
Dude, the money thing,
Yeah.
I suck at that. I still kind of suck at that. I'm getting better at it, but
Yeah.
one of the things that, I don't know, okay, like what if I would change anything?
Yeah, like if you could go back and tell yourself something, you know, like
I don't know. I mean, I like nostalgia, so I like, thinking about the past, but I don't like dwelling on it. So, and from my point of view, everything that happened to me, good and bad, these past 4 years has taught me something and has helped me learn something. So like, I had a problem where like I would be friends with people that were kind of toxic, because I felt like I had that kind of like I can fix them mindset, where I was like, oh, I can help them, I can make them a better person. That's not the way it goes, because they're gonna have to learn at some point, and I wouldn't have learned that without dealing with those people firsthand. So part of me is like, well, God, I wish that never happened, because it sucked when it happened. And I had to like tell this person like, hey, I can't be friends with you anymore because you're acting terrible and all this. I said it in a much better way, I promise. But like, I think that was necessary in order for me to learn my standards for friendship now, for relationships, and anyone else that I want to keep in my life, because you have to protect your peace. And I feel like that's one of the things that I've learned is it's okay to say no to people. It's okay to be selective about who you hang out with, because that person, if you reject somebody, obviously, hopefully you're not doing it in like a super mean way unless they're like a total jerk. But if you reject somebody, they're going to learn from that too. So no matter what, you can't always be concerned with like what other people are doing, like based off of what you're doing, like how you affect them. It's good to think about it in terms of changing yourself. Like, oh, how could I have handled that situation better? Like that might be one thing that I think about, but I don't think I would change it, because I wouldn't have thought about changing or how I would change the situation or treat it next time without, making that mistake in the first place. Because mistakes are essential for us to actually learn and grow. And I feel like every single mistake that I've just made during my time here was just necessary for me to become the person that I am right now. And I am not done. I'm going to make so many more mistakes in the future, and that's okay. And I don't know what's going to happen next. Yeah, the other thing is like trying to, predict what's going to happen with people or with your future. Don't do it. You'll figure it out. Because like, I'd like to think, I don't know what's coming next. I know where I'm moving. I know sort of what I'm doing when I get there. I don't know what's going to happen after that. And that's exciting, because I don't know. The mystery is fun. And I don't know. There's so many lessons that I've learned the past few years. And it's just all the mistakes that I've made, I just feel like are necessary. So the only thing I guess I would maybe change is maybe like, I wish I had gotten out of my shell more. I wish I had talked to more of my classmates sooner. Because, I mean, if I had done that, you had a class with me at one point. I probably would have been friends with you much sooner. Mm. I didn't know who you were until last semester. I don't think I've ever seen you in my life until last semester.
No, I don't think so.
But, like, I don't know. I feel like
I could have together. We've been in every class every semester since I've been here. I'm just kidding. That's not true. That's not
I was
true.
like, that's Caleb. That's Caleb. Caleb is the one that has been in every single class of mine at least one semester every year. But I don't know. All the
I'm that guy that people are like, You were at my school?
Dude, I that's the other thing is like, okay, this is kind of off topic, but like the whole thing of like social media, and without having social media, you feel like you're not seen as much.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I did not feel seen for like half of my classes here. Like I would make friends with, some people and it was really fun, but like by the rest of the class, like I notice everyone. Whether you see me and you think that I'm noticing you or not, I notice every single person in every single class. I pay attention to them, but like, it's weird to think that. Where was I going with this? It's weird to think that like those people might not perceive me like I perceive them, and I feel like social media plays a big role in that, and that's just also something that I've learned in the past few years. So like that led to me like, I still have Snapchat, but I only use it to look at like my old memories from like last year, but otherwise I don't use it. I use Instagram and TikTok, and I need to stop using TikTok at least so much. But I don't know. I wish I had stopped thinking so much about how others perceive me and just go and say hi to people, make more friends. Hopefully I'll do that tonight. And I'm hoping to make more friends tonight, but we'll see.
We'll see. Yo. Is it you next or me?
It's you.
Okay, so I feel like you guys sort of touched on this already, so sorry for being redundant.
No, that's
but,
okay.
But like, what's your immediate plan after college, and like, what are your like long-term goals?
That's easy for me. I already found what I think is my dream job at United Way as marketing director. So it does everything I want to do. Like I like being involved in multiple things. And United Way works with 22 other nonprofits, and I get to work with and help all of them. So that gives me the variety I want. I get to be creative in the job. I've got a great boss. I get to use almost everything I've learned here on campus. So my immediate goal as far as a job is already there. Long term, I would like to get back into film production. I used to do film, and I had a small film company for a while, and I really miss that. And I've been I ran a film festival for 7 years in Enid, and got to meet a lot of filmmakers from all over the world. And I've just started reconnecting with some of them. I don't run the festival anymore, but I just started reconnecting with them, and it's making me want to get back into it. So I'm hoping as a long-term thing, I will get another production company going and get to do some more creative filmmaking.
Dude, you're so cool. Every time I learn more Chris lore, it just like leaves me stunned because I love learning Chris lore. But bro, I don't remember you talking to me about that. That's crazy.
The film stuff?
Well, you told me about the film stuff, but you never told me that you were like in charge of a festival for 7 years.
Oh.
That's sick. Chris is cool. Chris is freaking cool, dude. That's awesome. But I don't know. So like my immediate plans and long-term plans, dude, I got it mapped out in my brain. I was like, okay, well today, I'm working out after this. I go to the bars tonight. Tomorrow I'm going to probably go thrifting and do something else. But like, I don't know. So I go home. I don't get to be in Dallas for very long, so I have to pretty much just say goodbye to all my friends. And I go to Maine for a trip with my best friend back at home to Acadia National Park, so that'll be fun. But really, it's just I moved to Jackson at the end of the month. I have only ever lived in Oklahoma and in Dallas, and so like I've never lived up north. I've only ever had trips up north. I've been to the Grand Tetons before 2 years ago, but it was only for like 3-4 days. So I'm moving to an entirely different place that I'm mainly, mostly unfamiliar with. Don't have any friends there. I have a family friend, but she's like my mom's friend, and she's like 60. So I don't think that would count as someone I could, do a bunch of stuff with. But it is a little bit scary to think about like making friends there all over again. So I'm just faced with the same, conflicts and problems that I was faced with whenever I first got to college. Except this time, no one's holding my hand. I don't have a bunch of stuff, a bunch of events and stuff that pull us all together to like mixers and whatever. I have to go out and do this stuff myself. But really just moving to Wyoming is step one. I'm there for 11 months. it's going to be tough. I can already tell. It's going to be really fun, and I've never lived in a place as naturally beautiful as that. Like the winter's like 5 months, dude. Never been in that cold of weather in my entire life, so I am prepping. I have to get a lot of gear for it. But after that, I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do, and that really just depends on to what I do while I'm there. If I end up liking it there and they offer me a full-time position afterwards, then I might just stay in Jackson as long as they give me free housing because that place is expensive. But there's a chance that I might stay in Jackson. There's a chance I'll get a different job and move a couple states over and do something else in a different place. There's a chance that, I might find a girlfriend while I'm there, and then, my future just depends on where her and I want to end up going. I might get a dog to look for dog-friendly places. I just don't know what's going to happen. I did used to have a dream where I wanted to do van life for a while, and I don't think that dream is completely dead. I think it's kind of dormant right now while I do this little excursion in Jackson. But there's a chance that after Jackson, I might get a remote job, move back to Dallas, build a van, and then just live on the road for a little while because I really like to travel and I really like to see new places. And I've never had the opportunity to travel, consistently where I'm just always on the road and I get to decide where I'm going at any given point in time. And so I don't know. I could do that. I could become a professional photographer. One of my goals is to sign a contract with Nat Geo at one point. We'll see if that happens. I don't know if that'll happen, but I think I'm gonna shoot for the stars and at least try at a couple different points. But if I'm going to do that, I have to learn a lot in this next year, and I think I'm gonna push myself to do that so that way I can, be the guy that y'all knew who was a Nat Geo photographer. Either that or nothing's gonna happen, and I'm just gonna live in the woods for the rest of my life. Y'all never gonna hear from me again, and that's okay. That's okay too. I just don't know what's coming next, and there's so many different paths that I could take, and I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm excited to find out. So that's cool.
All right, and this is the last question we have for you guys, but what would your advice be, if any, for other students that could be freshmen or sophomores and juniors in our major?
Prioritize. Like I know coming to college you kind of get it's easy to get distracted. Making new friends, seeing all the opportunities, all the social experiences. And you need to do those. Like I think it's important to do those. And this goes back to balance, my philosophy about balance. But when you come to college, if you're somebody who you got to gauge, like if you're socializing too much and that's being your priority, where you're complaining because school's cutting into your socializing, like during the day. Because I've seen a lot of people complain about having a class that's been scheduled all year at this date, and they're complaining because it's interfering with something they've got social that's involved with a club or fraternity or whatever. And it's kind of like, well, yeah, but that's not why you're here. Like, go ahead and prioritize. On the flip hand, if you're doing nothing except working on classwork and trying to be a perfectionist and not socializing, not making friends, not being involved, that's bad for your mental health. So my advice would be to come in and keep your time dedicated for both and try to balance that, and have good people that you're around that can help you with that balance. You don't want to be with people who party all the time and their grades are failing. Why would you hang out with them? Because they're just going to make your grades go down. And then you don't want to be with somebody who's just a party killer. I don't know how else to put it, but where they're just
Well, like the goody two shoes,
kinda.
teacher's
I mean,
pet.
I can be a little of that sometimes too, but I also like people. I want people to have fun, even if I'm not in the mood. But I know a lot of people, they get frustrated because everybody else is not taking everything serious all the time, and it's kind of like, well, they shouldn't. Like, this is hard. It's supposed to be hard, and you've got to unwind and let loose a little bit. And I've gone both ways as far as that's concerned. Like I said in the beginning, getting a little too focused on all the school activities and not really socializing, and then taking. And I think that's part of the reason why, like when I talked about the mental health issue, that's kind of when I also decided I need to get involved with something out of campus. Because while I was on campus, I was letting a bunch of things mess with my way of thinking. Because you get here and this becomes your world, and you only see these people, and you start thinking that this is how things are, this is how life is, and it's not. This is one way life is on campus. But if you go out and do stuff, there's lots of fun activities and events going on that aren't campus related for you to get a break from everything and everybody, like a real break from school. I think that's important. We've got lots of bars, and we've got, concert venues, and we've got parks and walking trails and all sorts of things. And I think it's important. I think it's important to do both of those, and just constantly check in with yourself and make sure you're doing that.
I feel like you bring up a good point. Like, your path isn't set. You don't have to just follow the itinerary all the time. Obviously, go to your classes, but I mean, you don't have to go to all the swab events in order to meet people. You can go to those other events that Stillwater just hosts in town. But I don't know. I feel like you brought up a really good point there, because I only started doing that recently, and it feels like my bubble has gotten bigger because of that. But I don't know. I feel like I would start out with a little bit of life advice. Again, I'm 22. I'm pretty young. What do I know? But I feel like there are some things that I do know, and this is definitely one of them. Make mistakes. Keep making those mistakes. Learn from them. Grow. No one is telling you to stay the exact same. So change. Change for yourself, not for others, but change for yourself. Because really, in this world, the only way that you can really get the most out of life is if you change, and if you're willing to keep that open mind and be open to it. But also, in order to, get a lot of the proper change, you have to make those mistakes, which is why, keep failing, but learn from it. Take a step forward afterwards. Don't just fail and then make the same mistake over and over again. Think about what you did, what went wrong, what happened, what could you learn from it, and apply it to the next time that you're in that situation. I feel like that's the only reason why I'm remotely tolerable right now and not the way I was freshman year. But I mean, that would be like life advice. But in terms of like advice for college, like I said before, loneliness is normal. Not enough people talk about it. We're all at least a little bit lonely at night. And even when you're with friends, or even if you have a significant other, you can still feel lonely. And I feel like, again, that's not really talked about, but just know that you're not really alone. Everyone goes through that. It's not, weird or anything like that. It's completely normal. And then, like, while you're in college, try new things. Just try it. Like, if you don't like it, who cares? Okay, then you learn that you don't like it. But try new things and use the resources that you have while you're here. Like I said, like the Okali got me into photography, but I used the equipment checkout over here for like 3 years. If I hadn't done that, I would not have probably wanted to do photography as a potential career. I probably wouldn't have, my photography shop and all this stuff that I've started to set up online. I wouldn't have been as into it as I am right now. So try it. Try a bunch of random stuff. I have a permit in 3D printing. I used it once. I'm never gonna use it again, but it was fun to at least try it once. I tried out for the Call of Duty esports team once, my sophomore year. Did I get in? I don't know. I don't think I ever paid attention to that again. But it's okay if you make these impulsive decisions to just try something new, because like worst comes to worst, nothing happens. So what? Nothing changes. That's okay. But at the very least, you might find a new passion or a new skill set, new hobby, something that that you can pursue while you're here. But just use all the time that you have here. But also take care of yourself, take breaks, eat 3 meals a day if you can. Don't neglect yourself in order to like prioritize school. Like he was talking about priorities. Get your priorities straight. School is not first. I promise you right now. Listen, get good grades, but school is not your first priority. You should take care of yourself, your mental health, and your physical health first. Because if you don't do that, all the rest of your priorities are going to fall away. So take care of yourself. take care of others, be kind, throw compliments out. Don't be creepy. But, you know, every day we have a chance to spread some kindness. So take advantage of that because you never know when your day could be your last. So at least have fun and be nice to people.
Yeah, well, you know, that's kind of the end of our questions, but do you guys have anything else to add, you know?
I want to, yeah, if you're giving us that time, I just want to piggyback. You brought up a good point about trying new things because I think that's a big killer. At least in Enid, I paid more attention to it. People not going to things because they don't think they will enjoy it. They've never been before. They've never tried it before. So a great example, my nephew came to visit and there was a concert. He's considerably younger than I am. And he didn't want to go to this concert because it was like an 80s, and I love 80s music. But,
love it.
but there was this 80s star coming to perform, and he was kind of dragging his feet. And we went to this concert. It was an hour and a half of like a bunch of old people screaming.
I love it.
And he sat there the whole time like with his arms crossed. But then when it was over, he went, "That was pretty good." And next thing I know, he's like bought the album. And he wouldn't even, like, he downloaded the whole album of this artist. And I was thinking, you weren't
so
going to go to
funny.
this because you didn't think you would like it. And sometimes you just got to go and have fun, and it just matters mentality. Like, a lot of things are fun just because you go and have the mentality, I'm here to have a good time.
Yeah.
I'm here to have a good time with people. I think that's another part of it because a lot of times people go, I'm going to have a good time, and then they ruin it for other people because they're just going being jerks. Watch my language. I thought you would have been the one to slip. I almost
No,
slipped.
no, it's you.
So yeah, I just wanted to harp on that because that's a good point of not assuming what's going to be fun. Just go do it.
Yeah, I mean, that is the right mindset. And like, worst comes to worst, you try something new and you don't like it, just leave.
Yeah.
Do an Irish goodbye if you have to. Just leave. Because like, even like tonight, you know, the bar crawl, I'm not a drinker. I don't like going to bars very often, but I'm going because I want to see these people outside of the classroom and be able to, you know, talk to them about something else besides what's due tomorrow.
I'm not
And-
going to that. I'm not going to that.
What?
I don't want to see any of those people. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
I was like, you need to go. I'm going to drag you with me. But like, it's not typically my scene at all, but you know, I'm going to try it. You know, worst comes to worst, if I don't like it, I'll just go home and go sleep early. Who cares?
Well, it helps that you live right there.
I know, okay, that is different because I live like 5 minutes away. But like, the point is just like, don't overthink whether or not you're going to like something because you're really like the whole thing, you don't know until you try it. You don't know until you try it. And you may be pleasantly surprised when you try something. Now, I'm not trying to endorse doing a bunch of illegal things or something like that, but just like push yourself to try a new hobby, to talk to someone new, to, I don't know, take a risk. You know, if you go out on a branch and the branch breaks, boo-hoo, you get a little boo-boo, but you'll learn from it. And so it'll also help you get in tune with yourself and figure out what you like and what you don't like. Because as much as you think you know yourself, you might not know yourself as well as you think you do until you try these new things. And so it helps you kind of hone in on who you are, what your personality is, what you like to do. So try it. Why not? Worst comes to worst, you learn something new and you have a good time.
Well, we really appreciate you guys' time.
Yeah,
you know.
thank you guys.
Yeah.
You guys have
Thank
some
you.
great answers.
Yeah.
You know, honestly.
Thank you.
It's always cool to see how each interview we have, people say kind of similar things, but they all have like different ideas, you know, philosophies, stuff like that. And, you know, we really appreciate it because like we're learning from everybody. You know?
That's been the cool thing is just to kind of see, you know, obviously we're all kind of getting to the same point of graduating and going off to do our own things, but it's just really cool to see the different paths we've all taken to get to this point. And so we really appreciate you all coming down.
Yeah.
Well,
Thanks
thank you for having us.
It was fun. I enjoyed it. And I'll be you're doing more of these, I assume.
Yep, one more.
Yeah,
right?
one more.
And a
One more?
reflection as well.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
How many total have there been then?
So far, there's been 3 interviews so far.
Okay.
Right? Each with 2 people.
Yeah, this will be our fourth, and we got one more. So
Nice.
Cool.
Yep.
Will these be on your site?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are they going to be
You-
on Spotify?
I believe so.
yes,
right?
probably most likely on Spotify. So
Will you send me a link to your site when you?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I want to see your portfolio, Joaquin. Let's go.
this is going on there for real. Yeah.
Cool.
Yay.
Well, yeah, we really appreciate you because you guys are making my portfolio look better.
Nice.
Interviewer.
Glad to contribute.
Oh yeah, you got to put that on there, interviewer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this has been a great time. This is probably one of my favorite ones so far.
Oh yeah, for
Cool.
sure.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you. And we'll catch you guys in the next episode.